Good afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, Tropical Storm Kristine slightly accelerates and is now forecast to make landfall in Isabela tonight. Prior to landfall, parts of the country are already battered by heavy rains and winds. We'll get updates on affected areas with our reporters on the ground. President Bongbong Marcos leads a situation briefing at the NDRRMC's headquarters to assess the effects of Kristine, and Pastor Apollo Quiboloy appears at a Senate inquiry into his alleged crimes. Thanks for joining us. Parts of the Philippines battered by heavy rains and flooding due to Tropical Storm Kristine. Among the heavily affected areas is Bato Town, Camarines Sur, where houses are submerged amid continuous rains. Kristine also leaving a trail of destruction in Albay. Residents there did not expect the huge amount of rainfall being dumped by the storm. Albay Acting Governor Glenda Bongao told BNC's Weather HQ of the 46 million peso calamity fund available in the province. She says they are ready to spend half of it for the needs of evacuees.
Pagbaha kasi po dito sa Albay ay talagang masasabi natin na record-breaking itong si Kristine pagdating sa pagbuhos ng ulan. Imagine niyo na lang po ang ulan na bumagsak in 24 hours ay kaparehas ng ulan na bumagsak sa 2 buwan ng rainy season. Ganun po katindi yung ulan na dumating sa amin na nangyari dito.
Among the areas under signal number 2 is Aurora Province. Our reporter Francis Falve is on the scene in Baler and he joins us now for an update on the situation there. Francis, how is it looking there?
May 100 motorized boats are under shelter now as stronger waves hit the coastline of Baler in Aurora. Huge waves made fishermen take their boats to shelter under a bridge near the river in Barangay Sabang in Baler. They fear that strong waves will crush their means of livelihood. The local DRRMO does not allow them to go ashore because of Typhoon Kristine. The inclement weather caused by the storm has affected the fishing and tourism activities in the province of Aurora. The PDRRMO also said that the whole province is under alert status blue, which means that the Emergency Operations Center here is open 24 hours. We went to the surfing beach in Barangay Sabang and no one is allowed to go swimming or surfing. Yesterday, the local Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office in Baler have met for a pre-disaster risk assessment. They are expecting that based on the storm track, there will have a minimal effect in the area. But they will continue to monitor and prepare as the typhoon is expected to have a landfall in the area later tonight. Mai?
Francis, how is the weather there? Mukhang maaraw pa, no? At meron na bang preemptive evacuation?
Yes, May, nung dumating tayo dito kanina, malakas yung ulan, pero tumitigil tapos nagkakaroon ulit ng pagbugso-bugso na malakas. At mayroon na rin, nakikita nyo sa likuran ko, meron ng bahagyang malakas na hangin dito. Pero ayon sa PDRRMO, wala pa sila na inanunsyo na forced evacuation sa mga residente na malapit sa karagatan dito sa Baler o sa iba pang mga barangay dito sa kabuuan ng probinsya ng Aurora. Pero nakahanda na raw ang lahat ng evacuation centers sakaling kailanganin yan habang papalapit nga yung landfall dito sa lugar. Mai?
Thank you, Francis, and keep safe to you and your crew. Aurora, of course, is under signal number 2. Power is out in half of Quezon Province. On BNC's At the Forefront, Quezon Governor Helen Tan said this makes it difficult for the local government to communicate with island barangays.
Yung Polillo Group of Islands, ito ay Polillo, Bordeos, Panukulan, Patnanungan, Humalig, Real Infanta Nakar, General Nakar, no? And then sa Tagkawayan, San Francisco, San Andres, San Narciso, General Luna, wala din po, and Mulanay and Katanawan.
Batan assures her constituents they have pre-positioned food supplies for evacuees and others stranded in the province. President Bongbong Marcos leads a situation briefing at the NDRRMC's headquarters in Quezon City. Let's bring in Hannah T for the details. Hannah, go ahead.
President Bongbong Marcos Jr. issued standard operating procedures for various government agencies that he convened this morning, the NDRRMC. Among these, the President ordered the preemptive release of water from dams in Luzon ahead of Tropical Storm Kristine's landfall. Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro shared that the DND is already coordinating with key neighbors, including Singapore, for airlift and manpower assistance. President Marcos also said that the government plans to use EDSA sites to airlift, release goods, equipment, and personnel to affected areas. Meanwhile, in ports, more than 5,300 passengers are stranded, with the Philippine Ports Authority struggling to provide relief. The Department of Social Welfare and Development will now coordinate closely with the agency. Regions 2 and 3, where the storm is expected to make landfall, are also well prepared with sufficient supplies, according to the SWD. President Marcos reiterated the importance of ensuring that everyone has emergency provisions and urged continued vigilance. Naga, already hit hard by Tropical Storm Kristine, has a solid stockpile of food packs, according to PSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian, who assured that ground operations are well in place across the country. Most barangays in Naga, Camarines Sur, and nearby areas are already submerged, according to the LG Secretary John Vic Remulla. The Office of Civil Defense is set to deploy additional rubber boats and trucks to assist with rescue operations as soon as they can.
Hannah, we expect to continue feeling the wrath of Kristine tomorrow, and many areas already reeling from the impacts of this storm. What will the government do regarding this? Was anything said about suspensions?
Yes, that's right. President Bongbong Marcos mentioned that class and work suspensions might be extended up until tomorrow, October 24, depending on the weather conditions. Relief and rescue operations will continue, especially as Tropical Storm Kristine is expected to make landfall later or tomorrow morning. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you. Hannah T reporting. Let's now get an update. Up next on Newsfeed at noon, we delve into China's alleged covert disinformation campaign against President Bongbong Marcos on Insight Weekly. Keep it here on BNC. You're back on Newsfeed at noon. While several Luzon provinces are bearing the brunt of Kristine, Metro Manila and nearby Rizal have not been spared by the storm's impact. Our reporter Bea de la Cruz is on the scene to give us the latest. Bea, go ahead.
Marikina City and San Mateo Rizal continues to experience occasional rains and cloudy skies due to the ongoing onslaught of Tropical Storm Kristine, but no reports of evacuation has been made yet. The Marikina River is 13 meters high, staying within the normal level. The Marikina City government has prepared their facilities and rescue assets like boats to prepare for the impact of the rain. Camps and evacuation centers have also been prepared with rooms for people with special conditions like PWDs, senior citizens, and pregnant women. San Mateo is also yet to activate their evacuation centers. The water level in San Mateo River is still at 16 meters, still far from 18 meters, which signals the first alarm. Once the water level reaches the first alarm, the LGU will activate its evacuation plans. Meanwhile, billboards in portions of Metro Manila have been rolled down as a precaution. The bad weather brought by Tropical Storm Kristine caused the suspension of all levels in public and private schools today. No flooding has been monitored in nearby areas, but local governments advises everyone to stay indoors. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Bea de la Cruz, reporting live from Marikina. Let's now get an update on the track of Kristine. Joining us now is our weather anchor, Paolo Del Rosario. Paolo, what do we have to watch out for with Kristine forecast to make landfall in Isabela either tonight or tomorrow morning?
Yes, Mai, for the next 24 hours, Tropical Storm Kristine is forecast to intensify as a severe tropical storm before it hits the Philippine landmass. Now, earlier tonight over Isabela province, but this might change depending on its speed and direction that we need to monitor in the next hours. But currently, it is located 255 kilometers east of Baler in Aurora with maximum sustained winds of 85 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 105 kilometers per hour. It is moving in a north-northwestward direction at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Now, as Kristine moves closer to the Philippine landmass, more areas all over the country are placed under tropical cyclone wind signals. Signal number 2 is up in most parts of Luzon and Visayas. Areas under signal number 2 will experience winds of up to 88 kilometers per hour and torrential rains. Meanwhile, areas under signal number 1, which you will show on the screen in just a bit, will experience winds of up to 88 kilometers per hour and heavy to intense rain. In general, the winds brought by the tropical storm Kristine may bring light to moderate damage to the exposed communities. Now, please prepare flashlights, batteries, matches, kerosene lamps, or candles and charcoal in anticipation of power failure. Make sure that your cell phones are fully charged and make sure that you elevate household things in case of flooding. Now, most parts of the country are covered with clouds, and we'll see these clouds here with this view in particular. These clouds will cause intense torrential rains in the Cagayan, Isabela, Apayao, Aurora, Quezon, Catanduanes, Camarines Norte, and Camarines Sur. Now, heavy to intense rains are expected for the rest of Cagayan Valley and the rest of Cordillera Administrative Region. The Ilocos Region, Albay, Rizal, and Sorsogon will also be affected. Moderate to heavy rains will prevail over the rest of Central Luzon, the rest of Calabarzon, here in Metro Manila, Occidental and Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, Calamian Islands, Masbate, and Northern Samar. Now, due to the trough or the extension of the tropical storm Kristine, residents over in the Zamboanga Peninsula, Northern Mindanao, Barm, and Socsargen will continue to experience cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms. Now, there's also a moderate to high risk of storm surge that may occur within the next hours. Storm surges of up to 2 to 3 meters are possible in the coastal areas of Aurora, Cagayan, and Quezon, while storm surges of up to 1 to 2 meters are possible in coastal areas of Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, and Zambales. Residents living in the low-lying coastal communities in these areas are advised to stay away from the coast and cancel all marine activities. And that's the latest weather information. Catch our next update at 2 p.m. here on the Billionaire News Channel. Please stay updated and stay safe. Back to you, Mai.
Thanks, Paolo. In other news, under heavy guard, the jailed leader of the group Kingdom of Jesus Christ, Apollo Quiboloy, arrives at the Senate to face grilling over his abuse and trafficking charges. Our reporter Agatha Gregorio is on the scene for an update. Agatha?
Mai, for the first time, KOJC leader Apollo Quiboloy is here at the Senate for a hearing on his reported abuse cases. That's after he was cited in contempt for dodging multiple hearings in the past. Quiboloy has cases of qualified human trafficking and sexual and child abuse pending before the Pasig and Quezon City courts. In her opening statement, Senator Risa Ontiveros told Quiboloy that today his victims will get to confront who they believe to be their abuser, but he will also get an opportunity to reply. Ontiveros adds they hope to look into how sufficient rape laws are in navigating consent, sexual agency, and religious freedom. Among the people who had already spoken is an alleged victim of Quiboloy, Teresita Valdehueza, who had previously joined KOJC and came to the hearing to, quote, share the truth that has been silenced for 3 decades because of great fear. According to Valdehueza, Quiboloy undressed and violated her only to later say, quote, this is the fulfillment of God's revelation. Also invited to today's hearing are representatives from the Justice Department, the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, the National Bureau of Investigation, and the Foreign Affairs Department. The DFA says it has yet to receive a formal extradition request for Quiboloy from the U.S., but it is on standby for this. Mai?
Agatha, what about Quiboloy's co-accused? Are they expected to speak as well?
Yes, Mai. The 5 other co-accused individuals are here: Jacqueline Roy, Ingrid Canada, Crescente Canada, Pauline Canada, and Sylvia Sebañez. We may also hear their answers to questions from senators later, as they also face charges of child and sexual abuse. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Agatha Gregorio, reporting from the Senate. Amid rising tensions in the West Philippine Sea, China is accused of running a covert disinformation campaign targeting President Bongbong Marcos. Our Foreign Affairs editor Jam Alindogan has the details on Insight Weekly.
There are growing fears that the South China Sea appears to be edging closer to a full-blown crisis. Tensions are escalating as China's aggressive moves against the Philippines intensify. Filipino vessels encounter frequent harassment at key locations such as the Second Thomas Shoal and Scarborough Shoal. What began as a simmering dispute has become the region's most volatile flashpoint.
While incursions in the South China Sea continue between the naval forces of the Philippines and China, another battle rages in the information sphere, one that is harder to trace and where China once again holds the upper hand.
China is accused of running a coordinated covert disinformation campaign aimed at discrediting Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos and stoking tensions in the contested waters. The Australian Strategic Policy Institute, or ASPI, is a policy think tank based in Canberra in Australia. It says it has linked the Chinese government to a deepfake video falsely depicting the president as a drug user. Released just hours before his State of the Nation address, the video spread rapidly online, particularly among followers of former President Rodrigo Duterte. ASPI says that a network of coordinated inauthentic accounts on platforms like X and YouTube amplified the false story. These social media accounts are believed to be tied to China. The effort also appears to be part of a broader strategy to weaken Marcos, who has taken a tougher line on China's territorial claims compared to his predecessor. China's efforts to bolster Duterte's political ambitions are not new. In 2020, Meta disclosed that it had dismantled a network originating from China, which had been disseminating content in support of Duterte, especially in standing firm against China's attempts to block resupply missions in the West Philippine Sea, has provoked Beijing's anger.
I call it cognitive warfare, attacking our cognitive processes. The ultimate domain of war, the final domain would be the mind of the individual. And if you could shape how a person would think, then you could now manipulate his actions or his behavior. Cognitive warfare is now being waged against us. We see malign influence. We see misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. We are getting hit across a broad range of the different dimensions of national power.
Experts warned that China's use of local actors, such as bloggers, political supporters, and influencers, to spread disinformation signals a sharper, more aggressive turn in its influence operations in the Philippines. ASPI cautions that Beijing's meddling could escalate in an effort to shift the political landscape in the Philippines in its favor. ASPI also suggests that the Philippines should expand its focus to address the growing threat of cyber-enabled foreign interference and hostile influence in the West Philippine Sea. The warning from ASPI is clear. As China's influence campaigns grow bolder, Manila and its allies must move quickly to shield their democratic institutions from foreign interference. Jamela Alindogan, Insight, BNC.
Coming up, we'll give you the International Monetary Fund's growth projections for the Philippine economy. You're watching Newsfeed at noon, only here on BNC. You're We're back on Newsfeed at noon. Aside from floods, residents of Ginobatan, Albay are also dealing with mud and volcanic debris. Rains from Tropical Storm Kristine have triggered lahar flows from Mayon volcano, burying several roads and vehicles. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, earlier alerted the region of this potential hazard. The International Monetary Fund reaffirms its growth projections for the Philippines. The IMF expects the country's gross domestic product to grow 5.8% this year. That's lower than the government's target of 6 to 7%. For 2025, the IMF predicts a growth of 6.1%, also lower than the government's 6.5 to 7.5% target range. The IMF notes the Philippine economy has successfully navigated multiple external headwinds in recent years. It adds growth momentum in 2025 will be supported by more accommodative financial conditions and investment. Fans of Tim Burton films have something to look forward to this Friday. The World of Tim Burton opens on October 25 at the Design Museum in London. The exhibit delves into the fantastic world of the American filmmaker, from Edward Scissorhands and Wednesday costumes to early sketches of Beetlejuice and The Corpse Bride. The exhibit has toured around the world for over a decade, and the London show, running until April 21 next year, is the final stop.
One thing that might be lesser known about Tim is his vast contribution to stop motion animation. He trained as a character animation designer at Disney and has produced 4 beautiful stop motion films: Corpse Bride, Frankenweenie, Nightmare Before Christmas. And we've got lovely armatures from those films, from his puppet makers. Again, kind of sketches and drawings that show the very detailed and handmade process behind stop motion.
And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. We'll now bring you back to the Senate hearing into the alleged crimes of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy.